This week, way too much stuff happened. We had to cut down our show. This is Just News, and I'm Paul Justly. Here's the news. A short time ago, a week or two now, Sergei Skripal, an ex-Russian double agent, and his daughter were found to be infected with a kind of very awful nerve toxin that is slowly killing them right now in the hospital. Since then, another Russian expat has abruptly, and without much explanation, died. Not from a nerve toxin, but it still seems kind of weird, because he was also a Putin critic. Now, the problem is that the two, Sergei Skripal and his daughter, were attacked with, again, an awful nerve toxin. And here's the thing, only one group of people developed this. Only one group of people have used this in the past. They're probably the only people to access with it. And can you guess who those people are? They're Russia. And that's why England has decided to eject 23 Russian diplomats from their midst. Can't really blame them. I mean, this is one of those you don't do it sort of things, and Russia did it. Russia has had the calculated response of saying, "What? Us? No, we wouldn't do that." Yeah, we really believe you, Russia. In other news, Afghanistan specifically, a surprise visit was made by Secretary of Defense Jim Mad Dog Mattis, where, at Afghanistan, he expressed hope and faith that we could actually get the Taliban to the peace talk table. Not all at once. They've been trying out a new strategy lately. It's the same as the old strategy, but they bomb a lot more things with the planes. The hope is that the large swaths of areas controlled by insurgencies will hate getting bombed so much they just want this 16-year war, maybe wanting to bring it to a close. The idea is that the factions, which are somewhat fractious at this time, will slowly be shaved off in individual talks. However, they've tried something similar to this before, and it didn't work, mostly because of a wide array of almost insurmountable issues from the perspective of both the Afghani government and the Taliban as what they see as must-do sort of stuff. In hopefully lighter news, there's been a storm a-brewing across America. No, I'm not talking about those nor'easters. I'm talking about Stormy Daniels. So, we've actually reported her a while back, but there have been so many twists and turns, and the story seems to be continuing to build so much that it feels necessary to touch upon it again. Trump had an affair with a porn star. That part is still true. But since then, she also got paid hush money for it, over $100,000. As it turned out, that was from Trump's personal lawyer, who actually later complained that he never got his money back for that. Oh, haven't you ever watched Trump news? It was like pulling teeth to get him to give to a charity he said he was going to give to. You're not getting your money back, guy. Let's see, other than that, Stormy is now suing because she wants to be able to talk about these things she has specifically been paid hush money and signed a contract not to. There's just one little problem. Trump didn't sign the contract. Yes, specifically Stormy is wanting to come out in the open, do interviews. She says she has some very interesting records of phone conversations, texts, pictures. Everyone thinks she's got some dick pics. And that would be so funny. So South Korea got a call from North Korea saying they wanted to do peace talks. And without consulting anyone, without warning anyone, Trump said yes. In the meantime, he fired our only statesman. Well, not our only statesman. He has fired Rex Tillerson, who single-handedly has gutted most of our diplomatic corps, including the South Korean ambassadorship and a lot of the, helping negotiate stuff part. However, he is also the voice of reason, diplomacy-wise, in the White House. He was the one who was for the Iran deal. He's the one who's been trying to get peace talks with North Korea. Forget if that guy was some kind of friend to Putin or some really weird hire choice who messed up the State Department. He was the head statesman. Trump is going to be going to that table with no ambassadorship at his side, not much support or background information checking. He's going to be relying on his gut to get North Korea to stop producing nukes by pure force of Trumpiness. So here's to hoping this doesn't end in just a total disaster, because this feels like it could really end up like a disaster. Across the entire country, children and adults and parents and everyone has started marching in protest of the lack of gun control laws across the country. It is unlikely this will necessarily change things right away, but it has had some effects already. That gun legislation law in Florida has been signed by Governor Rick Scott, despite his trepidation on the school hardening aspects. Meanwhile, Trump, who had proposed stronger gun law legislation, took a similar tack to the stuff the Rick Scott and the Florida government were looking at. When he proposed his official thing today, all he had left was the school hardening part. He dropped the age part, and I think he dropped the 3-day waiting period part too. Yeah, so he wanted to keep the part that nobody liked, but went with anyways. In other news today, a gun safety teacher accidentally shot the ceiling in a gun safety class, injuring one student somehow. This is the second time since they started talking about hardening schools that a teacher has shot a gun in a school. And now for everyone's favorite segment, Animal Corner, where we will be going to the animal-filled kingdom of Florida. Again. And we will be examining, iguanas. Again. You might remember last time, they were falling out of the trees because they got a little too cold. However, this time around, too many of them might be the problem. Iguanas are a somewhat invasive species. The common green iguana can be found up and down North and South America. It is extremely adaptable, can have up to 60 eggs at once, likes living in trees, and also likes burrowing. They like to burrow under hard rock-like structures to raise the chance of their eggs not getting eaten. In particular, some structures that they've found to enjoy are underneath roads, sidewalks, and seawalls. Now, this is a bit of an issue, and that is why Florida commissioned a state study into the animal. The study concluded one thing: you need to kill some iguanas. Now, they have a team or two of specialists going around doing this very effectively with with a metal rod device that you might be familiar with from No Country for Old Men. It can kill the iguana more or less instantaneously before it even has a chance to feel pain. However, since most people don't have this item, the state is encouraging people, if they happen to have a shovel on hand, to use that. Or failing that, hitting them really hard against a concrete surface. No, really. They said that. However, you need to be careful. If you hit the iguana more than once, it could constitute animal cruelty and result in an arrest and a fine. So remember, kill iguanas, but do it really, really well. And now it's time for Science Nook. Now, it has been brought to our attention that nooks are not actually a man cave, smoking room, library sort of thing. They are, in fact, actually a small corner of some nice kitchens where you can eat breakfast. However, we like the fireplace, so it is time for Science Nook. Let's see. One of the many back burner problems humanity can be said to have is putting people in housing, because we don't have enough of it. However, one new charity company out of Austin, Texas, I think they're called New Story, is planning on solving this problem with a miraculous system of 3D printing. They're focusing predominantly on developing countries at the moment, as that is where there is a large number of people who don't have housing. They are doing a pretty good job at it. They can actually get a whole house swapped out in about 24 hours, wiring and all, ready to move in. They're a little bit small, but you know, it's a house, and because it's made of concrete, it is steady, stable, and probably uses a lot less materials than a normal house. However, the 24-hour mark and the material usage are things we aren't familiar with as non-builders, so we decided to hit the streets and ask some questions.
This is Patrick Justly with Just News. I am out here on the streets, digging deep for the answers. Today, I am here with Rob at a construction site, and he has informed me that he is indeed a construction worker.
Yep.
Now, Rob, we have some questions for you. Does it take more or less than 24 hours to build a house?
I would have to say it takes more than 24 hours.
Fascinating. Now, Rob, the other question we have, how much material does it take to build a house?
It takes a lot.
There you have it, folks. Back to you at the studio.
Wow, that's fascinating stuff. All right, it looks like that is the end of the show. If you had any complaints, feel free to voice them in our comment box. We'll try to improve, we always do. If you liked us, like us, and help us grow this project of ours even bigger. Till next time.